Hello, Jeremy. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, man. Yeah, doing really good. You're in Bonifay, right? It's not too far from here. Maybe an hour and a half or so. I'm in Pensacola,
Yeah, we're in Bonifay, Florida, the home of the rodeo.
home of the rodeo.
Yeah, that's what everybody knows it for. They have the championship rodeo that comes here
Oh,
every
really?
year. Yeah,
Oh,
in
okay. I
October.
had no idea.
Yeah.
It's also where the rodeo started. I'm just joking. I thought maybe that's what you meant. Okay, got it. Can you tell me the name of the place, your first and last name and the name of the place, and kind of just tell me about the classes you guys offer, that kind of thing?
My name's Jeremy Angel. The gym is Ludus Magnus Academy of Mixed Martial Arts. Um, we have a pretty big schedule. We have women's cardio classes. We have homeschool jujitsu for kids. We have morning classes with a lot of law enforcement that comes to train. We do boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, jujitsu, MMA. We have classes for our seniors. They come in and work on their balance and mobility, so they don't have to worry about tripping hazards. Just that kind of stuff.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. You have a big law enforcement presence there that
Yeah,
comes.
we get a lot of the state ag law enforcement that comes out. They're building a new station out here, so almost there's a ton of these guys coming to train. So it's been really nice having them out here.
Talk about the senior class some more. That was intriguing.
So what we do with it, on Monday we typically start with half the class being stretching. So a lot of people don't think about stretching, so they'll get out, they'll stretch, get everything loose, and we just work on everyday steps that they take so that they're not tripping over, that people forget to pick up their feet. And as we age, a tripping hazard is probably one of the most detrimental things that can happen.
Yeah.
So we try to just work on that so they don't spend as much time worried about it because it becomes a natural instinct.
Yeah, I'm 40 years old and my grandparents are 90s, and so I have just now learned that issue that over the past year or so. Yeah. It is a big that's like you said it right, man. It's probably one of the biggest issues with the elderly, like tripping. Mhm. You gotta go
Yeah.
get the X-ray, see what's up.
It's a fun class. The ladies come in, we'll put on some Christian music, they'll be moving, and they get a workout as well. So it's very light. Anybody can do it, but just picking your feet up, it just helps them so much.
Yeah. I think yeah, you're saying picking their feet. I mean, that's the issue, right? It's kinda like it's just like a cognitive thing or something. It's just kinda these start to lose that, the connection, with
Yeah.
their yeah. What about your wife? She teaches a certain class?
Yeah, my wife, she teaches, we do a lot of women's like hit cardio classes. She runs those in the morning, afternoon. She has a small group of women as an introduction class to jujitsu to build them comfort in being in some positions that they don't feel comfortable with being with a man. So she teaches like basic fundamental jujitsu with the intent of eventually having them in like one big co-ed class.
Oh, man, that's so cool. That is so amazing that you're doing those extra classes like that, dude. I haven't heard of them before. I'm sure they exist, but I haven't heard of those specific 2 that you just went over.
Well, there's a lot of gyms that have some big women's groups, and
Yeah.
it works so well. It gives them a bond. It builds the comfort in them to go try something they wouldn't normally do. So
Yeah. We talk about like how accessible jujitsu is to people, easy to start and get into much more than, I mean, most people think more than striking is less intimidating than striking can be. Um, but even jujitsu itself, of course, to somebody, learning about it for the first time, seeing it for the first time, walking into a class and seeing it be done, is it can be intimidating to a degree. So yeah, that's just like a baby step to get them kind of like going somewhere, the social aspect, and kind of getting them used to like rolling and yeah. How long does it usually take for them to like start training jujitsu? I mean, I'm sure it's like up to them as well, right? But how long does
Every
it usually
person is
take for them to get comfortable? Yeah.
every person will be different. We have women who work with fish and wildlife, and a couple weeks, because they're dealing with men every day. Um, so it's a little quicker for them, but there's some women they may have self confidence issues, and it may take them 6 months or so before they feel comfortable going around other people. Once they start losing some weight and getting in shape, then they're more willing to do it.
Makes sense. Okay, cool. Um, can you one more time hit on the age groups one more time? I know you went over that, but hit it on it one more time. The age groups that are. Do you have like a kids class? I can't remember if you said it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we actually have a homeschool group of kids with. I
Okay,
mean,
got it.
we got a big homeschool group in this area, so we have about 20 kids in our homeschool group. They range from 3 to 12. Typically at 13, I tell them, "Hey, come with the adults. You're not getting as much. Come work with the adults." Depending on how long they've been training. If they're brand new, 13, I'll leave them with the kids unless they're just some of these kids are massive, almost 6 feet tall at 13 years
Yeah.
old. And it's like, all right, you're coming to the adults class. Get over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so 3, that's young. I mean, most places, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, start at like 4, but I've heard of a couple that have started, so far that have started at 3. So it's like, as long as they're out of diapers, 3 years old, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I always tell the parents the attention span of a 3-year old is not gonna it may not last for our entire class. So if they're done about 30 minutes in, we'll just call it a day, and they'll come back tomorrow. So
That's cool
it,
that
it's
you're cool
not
with that, yeah.
it's not always peaches and cream dealing with kids that young, but if they're in there learning, that's what I care about.
Mhm. Um, can you start as far back as you want with your story? How did you get into jujitsu? What was the story behind that? And then you can lead up to the academy?
Okay.
Oh, the
So,
instructors, mention the instructors, um, that are there. Do you have some, like,
uh,
instructors that you wanna highlight?
so my wife, she runs Jennifer Angel. She runs all the women's stuff. Um, I run, I would say 99% of the classes through all different styles. But I have Tommy Serenay. He'll come in, and he's been with me for about 5 years. He'll teach classes if I ever have something to do or we're out of town for fights. He runs class. He's about to be a purple belt. So, he's been around for a long time. He trained in Colorado before he moved here. So he steps up a lot. And then I have another kid who's been with me for almost since the start. He's still young. He's like 22, 23. His name's Hunter Blank. Um, he'll step in and run classes. When we had two gyms going, he would run classes when I wasn't there, and then Tommy would run the other gym when I was bouncing from the Funiac to Bonifay.
Okay, and how long have y'all been open?
Almost 7 years. November will be 7 years.
Okay, wow, okay, cool. Okay, man, we'll start, as far back as you want. Tell me how
Uh,
everything went.
so I was 6'3", about 145 pounds in high school. And because I was tall, I wanted to play basketball. I was had a C in a class, and my mom's like, "You're not trying out for basketball until you get your grades up." So I missed basketball tryouts, and I was like, "What am I going to do with my free time between football and whatever sport I'm going to play next?" So I tried out for the wrestling team, and from that point, it was just like, "Hey, I'm good at this. I really enjoy this," and it kind of set me on that path to after I graduated. It was like, "What am I going to do? I love wrestling so much. What am I going to do?" So I found
How did being so tall, like, uh, equate into, wrestling? How did it affect you? Was it a positive thing or negative thing or
in the beginning, I didn't know how to use my body. I shot up from in one summer from like a normal sized kid to a giant, and I didn't know how to use my body. And wrestling kind of taught me how to use it. So in the beginning, I'm wrestling against these 5'9", 170 pound monsters, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could do this.
Mm.
It took 6 or 7 matches, and I was like, all right, I've got this. And I ended up qualifying for state and placing in state almost every year that I wrestled, except for my freshman year because I broke my arm.
So is it
So
kinda like no matter your height, I mean, you're mentioning height, that's why I brought it up, it's more about just, like, learning how to maneuver your body, of course.
yeah, well, being tall, if you've ever rolled with, if you've ever seen any jujitsu, tall guys do have an advantage. We can create a lot of space with our long limbs. So
Mm,
learning how to use your body in that way was fantastic for self defense. It worked great for wrestling. It works great for jujitsu.
got it.
Most people would think, "Oh, you're tall and just bones," but it actually works really well in our favor.
Yeah. You have more, surface space to grapple, to do whatever you want to your opponent. Does that make sense? You have
Yeah,
a
I
longer
mean,
limbs to, yeah.
you get a shin across their body and you create space. There's nothing they can do. They're not. They're struggling. They're struggling to get that space, close that space down. So it's a really great advantage, and it works. It works in boxing. It works in Muay Thai. All of it. It's just it feels like unreal sometimes the stuff you can get away with.
Okay. Okay,
You get
yeah, I've
away with
never
a
talked
lot of
about that before, the
mistakes.
go ahead.
You get away with a lot of mistakes that you normally wouldn't. Um, if you were a shorter guy.
And how did you get into jujitsu after, segueing from wrestling?
Well, I went to Myrtle Beach. I graduated and 17-year-old kid. I don't know what I want to do. Don't know if I want to play baseball, football, wrestle in college. So I ran away to Myrtle Beach and I found a jujitsu gym while I was out there. And I spent a couple months training and I was like, this is fun. When I went back home to Georgia, I immediately went and found an MMA gym.
Did
So
you
once
did
I
you
got
like it more than wrestling at the time?
no, wrestling's always going to hold that special place because I'm a firm believer jujitsu can't happen until wrestling's over. If I
Mm,
can't take you to the ground, there's no jujitsu.
okay, understand. Okay. So what about, like, I mean, does there exist wrestling gyms, wrestling academies, you know, like there is jujitsu academies? I've never asked
There's
that.
there's one in Dothan. I've never visited them, but I drive by when I head to Dothan all the time. It's called Patriots Wrestling Club, and I've always been interested in like what do they got going on over there. So I see them all the time, but I've never been by when they were open, so I could just stop in and just talk to them. But I see that a lot, and I don't know if it's for like the USAA AAU wrestling, which we'll touch on that later. We're working on bringing that to Bonifay, um, the Holmes, Washington, Jackson County area. We're working on bringing wrestling here this year.
Got it, got it. Okay, so getting back to the story, you were saying you started in MMA, is that correct?
Yeah, and so this was 2005. I walk into an MMA gym and I'm training. I've been there for about 2 weeks, and one of the teammates couldn't make weight for his upcoming fight. So they asked me. They said, "Hey, do you want to fight in a couple weeks?" And I'm like, I don't really know anything." They're like, "Oh, you'll be fine."
You had never
So
stru you ever done striking before, like training, straight up training?
no, not at all. So
Okay.
I went in with nothing but wrestling and a little bit of jujitsu,
Yeah.
and ended up working well and fell in love with it. Like, a college kid getting to do this, it's a lot of fun.
Did you do good not knowing striking much or
I
only
just
wrestling?
took them down and choked them out. That was
That's
it.
where I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah,
How effective was that?
it worked really well. Back in the early 2000s, wrestling was, it's still pretty dominant in the UFC, but back in the early 2000s, if you could wrestle, they couldn't stop it.
Okay. Okay. And, okay, so you started it, yeah, and so how did you continue, like, training in MMA or
Well, I found we've always trained everything individually. So we would box, we would do Muay Thai, then we'd do jujitsu classes, and I kept going with that. And then 2009, I decided I was going to chase football instead of fighting. So I never stopped training, but I didn't fight from 2009 to 2019. So I just focused on my training. And I think it was like 2012 before I ever put on a gi. So 7 years after I started training, I finally put on a gi. Um, 2018, I moved to the Funiac, and there wasn't any gyms anywhere around. So I went to a Sambo gym out in Callaway, and Sambo is very, very similar. It's a wrestling Jiu-Jitsu blend. So it was great, but it was 77 miles from my house. And
Okay.
I got back into fighting while I was there. I had a fought out at it was a big pay-per-view that had Anthony Pettis and Jorge Masvidal mainline it. So I got to do that out in Pensacola as my first fight in 10 years. So that was an awesome experience. Um,
Did you do
and
well?
then I lost. I went against one of Roy Jones's guys, and I took him down in the third round, and my gas tank was zero. So ended up losing that one.
Good
But
experience, though.
the jujitsu worked. I just got too tired. So um, that was 2019. Or June of 2019, and I just couldn't make that drive anymore. I ended up with a work injury. I cut my wrist open with a chainsaw, and
Really?
I had to, yeah, I fought 30 days after it happened, and the guy wouldn't pay my medical bill, so I ended up in a lawsuit. And my lawyer said, "You got to quit training." So I just built an at-home little spot for me to train. I'm at in my garage. Me and my daughters are in there. They're doing classes. I'm working out. And I opened the garage door one day and half the neighborhood wanted to start coming to train. So this is October of 2019. November 2019, we give it a name, we make it official, we put the Google listings out, we started from there. And it's just in my garage, nothing fancy. Um, I ended up getting so many people, we had to map my entire driveway. And
Driveway, not
yeah,
garage.
yeah, oh my garage was matted and my entire driveway. My wife she was a trooper, let me do that. So
So you guys didn't drive on it at all, right? You parked on the street?
yeah, no, we had like an empty lot next to us that we were
God.
using that we had on the property. So we just parked the cars there, and we'd fill the garage every single night, and
Mean like
it
it
was
wasn't it was you would take up the mats, put them back, take up the mats, or you it was permanent?
we had a tarp that we would just roll out over the mat so it wouldn't rain on it, a really thick
Yeah.
tarp. So if it rained, we just pull the tarp back off. After the rain came, we pull the tarp back off, and uh, it worked. It worked for I think we were there for almost 3 years, and the guy was renting the house from. He died during COVID, so we ended up moving, and we used a pavilion at a park. I called the county commissioner and said, "Hey, there's an empty park over here nobody uses. Can I use a pavilion?" And they let me use it. We were there for about a year and a half to 2 years, and it was awesome. Felt like you had indoor outdoor training, so getting a roll with a nice breeze coming over you. It was different, but it was a really cool vibe.
Man, yeah. Those are like the good old days, I guess, huh?
Yeah,
You have a lot of cool memories doing that.
yeah, it was awesome. We would have people would just come out. I'd have a smoker going, would be eating and sparring and rolling and just having a great time.
Yeah, so you guys would roll outside as well, inside and
Yeah.
outside there. Okay,
Yeah.
just like at home.
Part of the pavilion was closed in on the backside, so we had all that matted, and then we had the outside matted. So it was
Man,
uh it was great.
did you have music going?
Always. It just
A
depends on
party,
who you give the rights to.
barbecuing sometimes, you said?
Yeah, we do that a lot. That's one of my hobbies. I'm always grilling something.
Man, that sounds fun, dude. About how many people were going at that time?
I want to say we had close to 40
Really?
in a park in the middle of nowhere. We had about 40 people showing up
About how often would you meet a week?
every day, Monday through Friday,
Really?
and Saturdays when the guys were able to.
Oh my god. What a life. Good grief, man. That sounds fun. Party every day, in a
Yeah.
sense.
Well,
Alright, so yeah.
from there, we started getting people taking notice of us. We were traveling the country competing. Um, and I had a weightlifting gym hit me up and they're like, "Hey, do you guys want to come in and, you know, do what you're doing over here?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And we spent almost 2 years. The summers were just brutal. It got to almost 115 degrees and it was just like, I can't do this. Like we got to go somewhere where it's cooler. So we moved to another spot in the Funiac and opened up. It was everything was going well. Um, I decided I was going to open up another location, so we opened up in Bonifay, and both locations went the entirety of last year. And in October, we had somebody buy the Defuniac property, and they just wanted to do something different with it. So we just merged everybody to Bonifay, and we're just like, this is what we're doing.
Okay, okay, okay. And you live in Bonifay, is it?
I live in Graceville, so it's like 15 minutes away.
Okay, got it, got it, got it, got it. And, what was it like transitioning to the building? Was was it amazing, or was it like pros and cons,
Well, when we came to Bonifay, it was the first time we had heat or air conditioner in the
like
6
ever?
years we've been doing this. So
Uh-huh.
it was it's really good for the fact that you can get the average person in the
Yeah.
gym, but it's also bad for the people who compete because if they got to lose weight, it's not as hot.
Oh.
The conditioning's not the same, so we got a little softer.
But I mean, 115 degrees, I mean, come
Yeah,
on, you know?
it was brutal. Um, I don't miss that.
Tell me, what does jujitsu mean to you? You know, what does it mean to you, if you had to sum it up?
Uh, for me, I have my wife, both my daughters, they get to train with me. So it is just I get to teach my daughters self-defense. So when they get old enough where they enter this world without me, I know they can protect themselves. And for me, that's the biggest benefit to jujitsu. I started doing jujitsu before I had kids, but as I get closer to my 40s, to me that's what it's about for me.
Did they love it right off the bat, or was it hard for them to come to like it, or
My youngest absolutely loves it. My oldest, she only wants to do gi jujitsu. She's like, I don't want to do no gi. I don't want to do anything else. Only gi jujitsu. And I'm like, that's fine. So I never force them. But my youngest, you can teach her anything, and she wants to do it. So
that sounds like my daughter. The younger ones seem to be that way, I don't know why. The older ones are kinda more calm, and the younger ones are more, I don't know if adventurous is the right word, but, like, I don't know if wild is the right word, but I hear that a lot. Um, so yeah, man, tell me, what makes it so different there? Why do people love to be there? Why do people, keep coming back?
um, I I love jujitsu, and everybody's got their own special thing that makes them great, and that's why people visit them. Our thing is I try to make it self-defense oriented, right? So if you can't take somebody to the ground and put yourself in a good position, like we're gonna fix that because I don't want to end up on the ground on my back getting punched in the face. So I
Mhm.
always try to draw that line between, hey, use this for sport or use this for self-defense. And there's a lot of gray area in that. And but if I grab a hold of a leg and somebody can punch me in the face, I don't want that leg. I want it to be 100% about how am I going to defend myself? Like truly defend myself.
What
And
about, as far as, like, your personality, how is that reflected at the academy there?
uh, we make a lot of jokes. Uh, the entire class is just a fun, laughing atmosphere. But you get done and the entire mat's just soaked with sweat because everybody's working their butts off. So they know that you got to have hard work, but you can have fun while you're doing it.
And do you have a lot of people that are from the original group still going there?
Yeah, I have a lot of guys that have been with me for a bunch of years, so it's nice having all that experience. We've had guys that have like traveled all over. Some guys with close to 20 fights, and they're just bringing experience to every new person they get to work with.
You have any, like, cool stories you wanna add over the years?
Um,
Some funny stories, anything that's kinda interesting
oh man, like you
that
meet
you
so
can
many
say
different
that you're
you
able to
meet
say?
so many different styles of people, and
Yeah, yeah.
um, some of them are just out there. I had one guy, he came in and he was watching Cobra Kai and he wanted to learn how to do jujitsu, and he was he was a big guy. So I mean, he immediately came in and he started like just going hard with everybody. And I told him, I said, "Hey man, you're gonna get yourself hurt if you keep doing this because they're gonna protect themselves." He's like, "Well, if I can't do it at 100%, I don't want to do it." And I'm like, "Well,
Okay.
if you did it at 100%, you're gonna be in the hospital because somebody's gonna hurt you."
Yeah, it's not really the point of it. Yeah, going
Yeah.
through the
So you get that type of people that, they think it the male ego is a fascinating thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you get that, and, you'll get people that just come in and they just wanna go 100%, and they find out very quickly that, "I'm tired. Why are you not tired?" "Oh, because I'm using jujitsu. I'm not going crazy. I'm just using jujitsu."
Yeah, I bet it's like I bet it's really hard for, someone starting out to get that, especially a guy with their testosterone going and adrenaline, and you're wanting to fight back because you know that that's what you do in life if you're being threatened. So they're trying to use their strength to fight back. They don't know any other way to fight back.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about jujitsu. You don't learn it immediately. It takes some guys a year before they understand it. Like, oh, I don't have to put everything I have into moving you. I'm just going to use technique, and it's going to work, and I'm going to make it simple.
Okay, got it, got it, got it. Um, what were you talking about? The USAA, or am I using the right acronym there?
USA and AAU wrestling.
Yeah, talk about that.
So we're our area. So one of my big goals since I moved here, um, the first one was to get women, kids, and law enforcement in here, and the next one was to bring wrestling to the area. From the Fudiac all the way across 90, as far as I know of, there is no wrestling for kids. So I'm in the process right now. I'll know as of next week if we get this spot. It's at the same location, but it's a bigger building. We're in an old middle school, so, we rent space. The development commission rents out space to everybody.
Right.
So, if I get this space, I have a full, 1,600 square foot wrestling mat. We're planning on having a, wrestling team coming.
Wow. How do you implement wrestling into jujitsu?
Um, eh, so, for me, it's off of takedowns. I wanna position myself to where I'm not going straight into a guard. A lot of guys will hit a takedown and they'll go straight into a guard, legs are wrapped around them. Now that's another fight. If I can hit an intelligent takedown and pass your guard in the process, that to me, that's a way more efficient.
Way to do it. Right. 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 Um, I want to ask you this because you said homeschool again. Um, is it accredited? Like, are they getting credits for the kids going the homeschool group? Are they getting credits for the homeschool there?
So we just do the homeschool jujitsu. I'm working on a PE program. But the kids are already here. Most of the kids are already here for an hour. So, um, I'm sure the parents will apply it to like PE, and because
That's what I meant. Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. The PE.
we are through Step Up, so we partner with Step Up, and all the kids who have Step Up typically pays for the kids to come do this.
Okay, yeah, that's a part of that, right, that I was kinda getting at. Right, okay, I understand. Yeah, that's cool. Um, do they, like, come in the middle of the day because it's homeschool, or they come Like,
We
when
do
they
we do it 10 a.m.
yeah.
So I started the 10 a.m. homeschool class, and all these dads were sitting around. They're like, "Hey, man, we need classes." So we open up an 8 a.m. Muay Thai class and a 9 a.m. Jiu-Jitsu class. So all the kids come in at 8. They go play for 2 hours with each other. Like I said, we're in an old school. There's not a lot going on here. So these kids just run the halls of the school and they play.
Oh,
And
okay. How fun.
and when the dads get done and the moms get done, the kids come in and they do their Jiu-Jitsu class.
What would you like to say to, outsiders looking in who have never trained jujitsu before? What would you like to tell them about jujitsu?
I know it can be intimidating, just the thought of doing something new. And the hardest thing you'll ever do is walk in the door for the first time. After you get in the door, I promise you will see it in a different light and you'll be ready to come back.
What about parents thinking about their kids doing it?
Uh, if your child lacks any sort of confidence, there is no better sport than jujitsu. Um, I've watched kids over the last almost 7 years just not they had no confidence in themselves, and now they're the life of the party. Um,
Mm.
and you're teaching them like I said earlier, they can defend themselves. You don't have to worry about sending your kids out into this world unequipped.
Right, right, right. Was there anything you wanted to add that we didn't go over?
Um,
Anything you're working on or anything like that?
we're just working on expanding our space, and next week I'll know about that. So, if we talk again, hopefully I'll be able to give you a little tour of the new space because I think we'll have about 3,500 square feet of mats once we get in there,
Okay.
in total. So I'm excited for that. So we'll know next Tuesday they vote on it. So
Let's
uh,
talk again, man. Let's have you on again if that works out and we can show everybody like like a tour of it. I'm interested to see it. That's
yeah,
pretty exciting.
it's gonna be a lot of work. We got to paint, we got to do the floors, but I got a lot of guys that are gonna come out and help, and we'll knock it out. And hopefully a weekend.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are I don't know if a lot, but I've talked to several people who are implementing wrestling into jujitsu, and I think it's really interesting.
Oh, it's fantastic, and it's nice to see that change back because for a while, jujitsu went to, "Hey, sit down, jump on top of me, and like we'll roll from the ground."
Yeah.
A and it's good for safety. When you start wrestling a lot, you have to worry about knees getting injured and everything like that, so it makes sense, you don't wanna just wrestle all day, you know,
Yeah.
but you wanna protect your bodies too, and wrestling can be really tough on the body, so I understand why jujitsu went that way for a while, but it's nice to see that change and people coming back to, "Let's do more wrestling."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's always
ADCC kinda helped that.
and that comes implementing it comes from, having a practical perspective, right?
Yep.
Um, right, right. Yeah, man, thank you so much for being on, Jeremy. I had a good time. Is it raining over there? It's been raining all day over here.
No, we haven't had any rain yet today,
Yeah,
so,
what's coming?
eh,
I
we're
I
probably like an
promise
hour
you.
behind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, man, I hope you have a good day, dude. I enjoyed talking to you. I would love for you to be on again once you get the place if it works out. And yeah, show us, give us a tour, and we can talk about that as well, man.
I just wanna say thank you for what you do for us, you know, without people like you giving us an opportunity to speak to our communities, they may never hear what we have to say and what we offer and how it can benefit them. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's easier when you're, being asked questions instead of just coming on and so, what would you like to tell your community there at the academy? Would you like to say something to them?
I, guys, come out, like, just try it. Every gym is going to offer you a trial. If we don't have many gyms in this area, but everyone around here will give you a trial. Find one that you like and get moving, get active.
What about the people who already go there? What would you like to tell them?
Oh, thank you guys. It's been a fun 7 years. I love all of them.
Awesome. Well, good to talk to you, Jeremy. I hope we talk again, man.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye.
All right. Bye, Jeremy. Hey, dude, what's up today? You doing good?
There, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's pouring down rain. I'm in Pensacola. I know you're in Troy, not too far. Is it raining there?
Now, no,
Maybe.
might be a little cloudy.
Oh,
I'm in now, so
All of our flowers are blooming. I got a palm tree outside. It's doing great. So, whatever, as long as we're inside, good. But, can you tell me your first and last name and also the name of the place and the location?
first name. Yeah, yeah. My first name is Nick. My last name is Nevins, and I'm in Troy, Alabama. And my academy is Troy Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome. And, can you go over kind of like, the classes you guys offer and maybe like the age groups, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we do 13 and up. And then we have Jiu-Jitsu Mondays and Thursdays, and then we have boxing Tuesdays and Fridays.
Awesome, awesome. Do you have anybody that's like cross training, boxing and jujitsu?
Yeah, majority of them do. Majority
Really?
of them
Okay,
do.
okay.
Yeah, so it's either goes like one way or the other. They either come in for jujitsu and then they see we offer boxing, so I go, I'll just try that too, or you know, and or eventually down the line they get interested in the other discipline.
Do most start with one or the other with jujitsu and then move to boxing or the other way around or not really? It's just kind of all over the place.
I'd say more people come in, which I was kind of surprised. But more just they start with just jujitsu. I thought it would be the other way around because people are more familiar with boxing and stuff, but it actually kind of became the exact opposite. More people just come with the intentions of jujitsu, and then like, hey, I'll just do boxing too.
But maybe that's changing, huh? Maybe more people are familiar with jujitsu nowadays in 2026 specifically, the last couple few years than boxing. I don't know if that's true, but we're talking like I mean we're talking people t born in 2005, 2010 or something, right? I mean, young
Mm.
people, maybe they're more familiar with boxing. I mean, with jujitsu actually. Could be the case.
I definitely think it's a whole lot more prominent than what it used to be. Even from I started in 2015. And then now, we finally got the UFC involved, and they actually just announced that they're gonna start doing opens too. And this is what I try to tell everybody, like, if you wanna get on that jujitsu thing, like, now's a good time to do it because it's not so far out of reach with having, like, some success into it, like other sports, like, people wanna be an NFL player or what have you. It just kinda seems like it's just, like, almost so far away,
Such a
Like,
bottleneck,
this
right,
has
right.
yeah, you kinda wanna just get in there early, even if you could just get enough knowledge to where maybe one day you'd like to coach or something or, be involved in some, uh, form. So, I just feel like, yeah, it definitely has blown up a lot more even just in the past 10 years.
And what
Definitely.
about you said UFC opens, like, what can you tell people what that means? What does opens mean?
So, basically, just anybody could sign up to it,
It's
and,
competitions, right?
have competition, yeah, and compete. And, so they have, like, what is called, the bowl. It's like octagon shape, but it actually has walls. Like, just it's jujitsu has evolved a lot. Like it's pretty crazy. Really interesting too. And I'm really excited for it. But even ADCC, which is like the Olympics for jujitsu, it only happens like every 2 years. They started doing opens also. So it's like maybe some of these people that don't have these opportunities because whatever money or they're from a small town or what have you, um, gives them the opportunity just to get in there and kind of just get some eyes on them and to maybe sign with the UFC or get some sort of sponsorship.
So not only is the sport itself, martial arts sport itself, um, accessible to, anybody at any weight and size, gender, yada, yada, um, but it's also accessible as far as, getting into actual competitions that mean something. Yeah, opposed to other sports. And a part of that is because it's fairly new. Yeah, who knows what it will be like 20 years from now, right?
Uh, yeah, yeah, and it's also one of those things too that in like boxing or, it's probably not going to be likely that you're going to be able to reach a world champion to come to your gym, and like just 3 weeks ago, I had a 5-time world champion at my gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, so, um, it's neat in that sense too, that like I was saying earlier, that things ain't so out of reach right now. And it's a good time to really, get into it. And that's as far as the sport aspect of it. Now it's just really trying to convert it from being like just to where right now a lot of the people that are into it are actually participants themselves, and just really trying to convert people into the spectators, that actually don't participate themselves, because it can be a confusing thing when you're watching it, like you don't really know what's going on. But as it evolves and more people get into it, they'll start to understand the language a little bit and understand like basic, things that are going on, kind of just like anything else. Like you don't got to be a professional football player to know, you got them guys that like they know the ins and out of football, but they can't play to save their lives, which is okay, but they're just fans. And so that's what I hope happens, that it gets more recognition in that way too. And it's it's a great self-defense thing, I don't wanna take that away from anything, um, but, just as far
Yeah,
as,
there's definitely like, if people don't understand, there's definitely 2 parts to it, that you can
yeah,
participate in one or the other. Well, you're naturally participating in the self-defense thing. It's all self-defense, but you can get into the sport aspect of it as well. Um, can you speak on that a little bit, just like the 2 different sides? Like, so people understand kinda like an idea of what we're talking about when we say that.
so the game played a little bit differently when, with the competition side of things, the self-defense side of things. So there's some things that you do for the self-defense side of things that you or the actually y
Well, there's rules
vice
in the
versa.
sport, of course, right?
Yeah, and, there's certain techniques that, you would use in, sport that probably wouldn't do so well in self-defense.
Mm.
The self-defense, because I feel like jujitsu is so powerful that, you got 10 years about average till someone actually becomes a black belt compared to other disciplines where it's only like 2 years. So it's like you don't really need 10 years of jujitsu to like be really effective on the street. Like you could do a year, 2 years, like a blue belt in jujitsu is gonna do really well for themselves as far as self-defense on you know, in the street. So to me, what I like about the fact that it offers this sport thing, and I think where a lot of people are coming from is that it's like endless, and it's just like having this toy, but like you want to be able to use it.
Like a Rubik's cube.
Yeah, like you got all these techniques, you got all this stuff, and you want to use it, because it becomes so addicting. So it's just you're not hopefully not getting into fist fights every day, you
Yeah,
know. Uh, But it can be modified too. Like there's certain modifications that are just more base for law enforcement, because now they're dealing with different things too, because they got their duty belts with weapons, so they got to make sure suspects don't have access to that, and you know, it's just kind of like spider webs, a lot to a lot of different things. But yeah, as far as the sport and the self defense thing, you almost kind of got like two sides of it too. You got some people that are like more heavy, like sport, and that's just what they're into. And then you got like the diehard old school like self defense, don't do that technique. You'll get punched in the face and stuff. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. But like I said, to me, just I want to challenge myself, you know, and
a part of that is because the other person you're going against in sport is someone who's training in jiu-jitsu as well. So
mhm.
it's more complicated, it's more challenging, or it can be in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I found too that, all through high school and pretty much my whole life, and like I was playing sports and stuff. So I have this like competitive nature. And then if you don't get the opportunity to go to like some school or something, you know, life happens. Now you're an adult, and then just kind of like, now what? You know,
Yeah.
and this is something that can kind of feed that, and it's all year round. And it just kind of just gives you something to like work towards too. Instead of just living that regular work home life that like you're like, oh, training for this competition, even though it might be a little local competition or something, but you're doing more than what 99% of the people are doing. There's a very small percentage of us that are actually doing this. So even just being able to put yourself through that test, says a lot to begin with.
So if you ever hear somebody's talk down to the sports side of it, keep an open mind. And what Nick is saying, it really, really makes sense. It's challenging you and it's giving you an opportunity to practice what you're learning outside of where you're going to train. And yeah, I mean, I can say with full confidence that it's challenging you even more, of course, because this is a competition that So yeah, I understand, man. Yeah,
I do think doing sport also helps with the self-defense side in the sense that there's pressure, you know?
yeah,
You're you're there, people are watching you, like and you gotta add that pressure, to see exactly where you're gonna stand.
yeah,
And that's a way kind of different too with other disciplines, and not to downplay them or anything, but they do a lot of, the karates and stuff. They do a lot of the katas and stuff, and very light sparring, and and that has its benefits too. But to be able to just to go like, hey, this is well, I'm 100%, they're 100%, and this is like where I actually really stand is great. And
yeah.
that way you kind of, is my cardio good? Is my technique good?
Is
That
my
sort of
mental
thing.
good? Is my calmness good? Am I being
That's
able to think when I am stressed? Go back as far as you want and let me know, like, why did you get into jujitsu? And yeah, as far back as you want with your personal story. Let's start there and segue into the academy itself.
okay.
You're smiling.
So I uh I grew I was born in New York, and I grew up in Florida, and and just my mom raised us pretty much. There's five of us by herself. We had a stepfather for a period of time, and but it's really just a single mom. So I didn't really have my dad in the household, and I had just me and my sisters. I got one brother, but I see my mom deal with a lot of abuse, from men and stuff, and I just think that I naturally just like had this feeling of like I just want to feel protected. So I think I was about 9 or 10. I got uh, into Taekwondo at a YMCA, and I did that. I can't even remember how long I did that. It wasn't long enough. I'll tell you that. And then it just always had an interest in it. I mean, unfortunately, the older I got, then I went through like the puberty stage, and then doing fighting a lot, school fights and stuff. Just had some built up anger, things like that. And there was a guy, as far as like the boxing side, that lived in my neighborhood that did some boxing. So that's when I kind of got introduced to that. And then I just like walked around, me and my friend just walked around with like these 18-ounce gloves, and we were just boxing each other. It was getting bloody noses and things. And uh, so
So instead of playing soccer, you're boxing. Yeah.
yeah, we were boxing. If you were just pulling into the neighborhood, you might see some nice little landscape over here, and on the other side of a palm tree in the median, you might see a crowd of people just trying to kill each other.
There were
So
crowds, so it wasn't just you and your buddy. You guys would like have
oh
group.
yes, the neighborhood kids, the adults too. I mean, it just anybody that wanted to smoke. we, we were just we didn't know any better. We
Okay.
didn't really know. dangerous, but we're just out there doing it. And so yeah, unfortunately, like violence was something that's part of my life. Like I said, just seeing my mom being abused and just kind of where I grew up around, um and in a way too, I just had some sort of like, I don't know, just like fascination with the whole fighting thing, like the thought of someone just being able to like physically control me or something to me just like terrified me. So I was just always just really intrigued with it. And when I started watching like the UFCs and stuff, because I remember from street fights, like I was like, I don't want to go to the ground, and like I didn't know what, I felt suffocated. I didn't know what was going on. But like I'd watch these guys do this stuff on the ground, and I'm always just like, what is that?
Okay.
Like how do they know where to put their leg? Like, what are they judging off of? Like, it's just really different to me. And so fast forwarding, I spent a lot of time in my 20s trying to figure myself out. I definitely partied a lot, got in trouble with the law, you know. And then I was about 27, about 2015. And then I just seen this ad, or actually here in Troy of someone starting jujitsu. And like, I was like, that I'm going there. I want to know. I want to know this stuff. Like before I even like stepped on the mat, I gave him like 6 months in advance. And I remember just like seeing what a triangle was like in person, for the first time. Like, oh, that's a triangle. Like the triangle itself was like a celebrity to me or something. I was just fascinated with it, and I just loved it.
Did you go
And we
there
had
and,
good.
like, watch? Is that what you're saying, the 6 months? Let me understand that. Um, were you
I
trying
went
it
to
out for
train.
6 months, or are you watching it or, like, waiting to go for 6 months?
No, I paid 6 months in advance to train,
Got it,
so I
got it.
just paid up once, and then yeah, my mind was already made up. Like I was already in it.
Mm.
I didn't know about all the little nuances and things. I'm just like, I just want to do this. So
What
I
about it
did it. And
intrigued you the most?
what's that?
What about it intrigued you the most?
I think just like the whole like chess part of it. Like them moving, the dictating where I need to go, like type of stuff. Like I wanted to know what made them choose that. When I'd watch like UFC, I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew like there's got to be something going on, like
Yeah, yeah.
because
They're not winging it.
and you're like, well, why wouldn't they just do this? Why, and it's just like I wanted to know those whys, like why are they doing what they're doing? And I knew it had to be something that was deeper. So that's really it. And to be, you know, naturally people, know how to punch. Not everybody knows how to punch correctly with things like that. But I mean, you could get lucky and you could hit someone and knock them out, and but to be on the ground and then to be able to be dangerous while you're on your back, which is like a vulnerable state, in a regular street fight, you know, they that was I just felt like it would have gave me some, I don't know, just felt like it would give me some sort of satisfaction to satisfy that safety that I felt like I needed. So I wasn't I didn't know about the whole difference between a gi and a no gi and all that stuff. And it was just like strictly like self defense stuff. And then I didn't even know like there was like a sport side to it. And then I started to know about the gi and then like and these different guards and like the spider guards and all this stuff and like choking people with their own lapels and then it's like, oh, that could transfer to like the clothing that you wear,
Yeah.
and then like that just made me even more excited about it, and then the competition aspect of it. So then, I started doing some competing, which I didn't have the intentions to, but we had a really good group of people that I started with. We were all like gun ho, we were excited about it. We were all going competing together. It was like a really good feeling. I actually had So at that time, I was battling my alcohol, you know, addiction, and I had a friend that he was addicted to drugs, some heavy drugs, and so I started doing the jujitsu, and like me and him worked together, and uh, so I was like, well, I was doing construction, and my shoulder, was all blown out. It wasn't all blown out, but it was sore. It felt blown out. I know what blown out is now, but that uh, and he's like, I told him I was training over here, and he didn't believe me at first. So then he started doing it, and then he was all in after that too. And so now it's like you got someone that in there, and then it's like you. Sometimes he's doing better, sometimes I'm doing better. So then it just kind of just keeps you wanting back, and
Something to talk about
you know,
as well, right? You were working together?
yeah, we were working together too. So on the job site, we might stop and start going some technique or anything, and yeah, it's a good time. So, yeah, that was the
Try
start
to
of it.
sum up, like, how that was affecting your personal life, jujitsu itself.
I could definitely get into that. There's the one issue was the the alcohol. Um, the other thing is, the alcohol was a symptom of a problem, and I had to try to really find out and what that was, and that was the fact of coping. There's things I just couldn't cope with, and then even stemming from that was the anger issue. And then so it's where's the anger issue coming from? That's coming from the sadness, So it's all these were kind of like connected. I did, the AA things and stuff, and just you know, but when I started to do jujitsu, it replaced that whole thing. Like that's how I was getting high now.
Okay.
That's what I'm like addicted to,
So the
like
whole
it,
issue of doing it and trying to fix it was just wiped out with it
yeah,
was replaced.
exactly. Exactly. So, you don't really get rid of habits. Everybody has habits, but when it comes to bad habits, you just got to replace them with good habits. And I've tried different things, maybe just exercising and, or writing, things like that. But that would be temporary, jujitsu was just something that I just felt the only thing that helped me. And that's what I describe like as like my all-in-one like medication, like it helps me with the depression. It helps me from, want to drink alcohol, because I certainly can't be in an active addiction and then try and go and roll, and be throwing up, But the anger issues, that I've dealt with, and said I feel great, like, when I come home from training, I could have a bad day, I didn't do anything right that whole day, and it's just a bad day, and then I go and I train, and it's just like, I get that dopamine in me, and then things that I was thinking about, I'm not thinking about them anymore either. During training, you don't have no time to think about them, which is a very common thing. I don't care how bad the problem is. When someone's trying to strangle you or break your arm, like, your brain's gonna switch up your priorities there a little bit.
Mhm.
But even, on the ride home, I'm thinking like, how'd they get me in that arm bar? You know? What if I should have done this? Like it just occupies my mind a lot,
So it occupies
Um,
your mind during training because your mind forces yourself to only think about that. Of course,
mm,
you're in combat, if you will. You're fighting someone, you know. But it also occupies your mind outside of training because of the complexity of it, right? It's a
mhm,
continuous puzzle, and you're going up against other people who are training as well.
mhm. And there's a lot of novelty in it. There's a lot of things to when you just think that you got something figured out, then an unexpected thing happens. So then you're trying to figure that out. It's just like this
Okay.
endless math problem, and I'm just the type of person I can't. I can't sit still for too long, you know, it just drives me crazy, and that's, then it gets into depression, and then just, I have to, like, almost, like, constantly, stimulate myself, and just keep my mind going, just so jujitsu was that thing. You don't graduate from it, you get a black belt, but once you get a black belt, it's just like that's I'm not a black belt, but from what I hear from black belts, that's when you're really starting jujitsu, and that's what I'm chasing. I wanna really start jujitsu. I've been doing it for a long time, but it's like I really wanna just start jujitsu because it just there's so many layers to it. And it just gets so deep, and just when you start to think that you have everything figured out, and then you just like, I mean, all the time, man. I love picking the brains of, like, black belts and stuff. It's just like, I'm having trouble with this, and it's just the smallest little thing, just move your angle, scoot back, just switch this, and just things like that I'm just fascinated with, just trying to figure it out, trying to problem solve.
And I guess because you're using your whole body, your entire body, not like Muay Thai, elbows, fists, kicking. Jiu-jitsu, you're using your entire body. Um, it's just like it's just an endless complexity to it. I was gonna get to, like, when you're learning new nuances in training and rolling with your partner in training at school, uh, you're continuously learning new nuances to jujitsu just by the mistakes that they make or the little things that they do that they might not have learned, but they just like do them. Is that correct? You're not always learning. Of course, you're learning from the techniques you're learning from your instructor, but you're also just learning doing it, like with the person you're rolling with, right?
Yeah, that's the best way to actually really learn, especially doing it live. And that's one good thing about, I guess, this martial art or this sport, that we're able to do things 100% live and kind of see, where do we need to make adjustments, because sometimes we might need to adjust something just based on the body type too of our opponent,
Mm.
and so if we're in a self-defense situation, or or even in sport, and there's different body sizes. There's, you might have someone that's a little heavier, taller, they're stronger, so if it's all right, so well, here's what you do, normally, here's but if you're dealing with a guy that's a little longer, or a guy that's, a little stockier, his shoulders are a little wider or something, you have to, like, modify that. And so that's what I mean. Like, it just there's a lot of layers to it. And yeah, you're constantly always just learning, and just exploring. Like, there's so many different things to explore, and people probably don't understand it because you look at bodies every day and you're like, it's pretty simple. You got a head, you got, we don't have a whole lot to us, but there's a lot that you could do, just by how you position your body and stuff. And I mean, it's just endless. And like I said, just when you start to think that you got the hang of something, then something else happens,
Mm.
and then you gotta go back to the drawing board again. But yeah, the ability of being able to do things live, um, I know even, like, scientifically, like, it's better for your brain to, like, really receive that information. It kind of embeds it, you know, I feel a little bit better, to where you can retain it, you know, which is good because, you might be out somewhere, you don't have to defend yourself, you don't got time to think, yeah, this, you've been practicing it live so much that the muscle memories, you're just here. There's people that have done this blind. Um, I've seen people do this with just like majority of their limbs were gone, probably just cut to the knees, to the elbows. I've seen people do it with one leg. I've seen people that were 65 years old, you know, elderly people that have done it. Um, it's just it's really for
And
everybody,
excel
you
in
know.
it?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're definitely you you just modify things to you can make it work, and you know there's so many options that out of all the options that it has to offer, there's something there for you. There's something that you could use, and there's something that you could take from it.
I wonder if, like, the constant, like, physical molding and evolving physically to do better in jujitsu also kinda, like, trains your mind itself to, uh, mold and grow as well. I wonder if there's a connection there. You know, the molding and growing physically helps the molding and growing mentally, or you're more, um, apt to do it apt to evolve mentally, because of it.
What I'd say about that, and where I think that you're kind of going with something that I'm when you say that I'm thinking about, and I had the news came and did an interview with me a while back, the news station around here, and I touched on it, but I think they edited some of it out. But something that was unexpected coming from this experience that I was like, what I talked about, what is like the bigger picture is that it makes you like, so you come in with the intention of like, I want to do this for self defense and stuff, but the real thing is just becoming a better person, you know? Um, I feel like, you know, and I try to the best of my ability, and I'm not perfect. You know, like I represent a team too, you know, my professors and things like that. So like trying to like I have some accountability to, you know, be a better person too. And I know I really wasn't into the whole like taking care of my body and stuff until I got really like into jujitsu. Then that did make me more curious about things like that, and even like the mental part of it, you know, and just being a better person, being patient, being, you know, just like we look at these fighters and stuff, and we just think that these are just animals and they love to fight and they just walk around all day and they're just like this, you know, and in the jujitsu culture, at least, um, some of the most coolest, calmest, nicest people, you know, the last thing that they want to do is fight you.
What's the movie with
Yeah.
The Rock, that more recent movie, and he's playing the MMA guy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but
Of
yeah,
course, you're
it's
saying
it.
that, I'm thinking of him in the movie. He was the nicest dude, man. I'm sorry, I forgot the guy's name that he played, but anyways, I saw it on a plane flight, actually. That was a pretty good movie, but he was the nicest guy in person, and he didn't wanna hurt anybody, you know? Yeah, The Rock did pretty
That,
good with that.
yeah, that's correct, and
So the
it
molding,
does.
like physical molding, kinda wanted you to improve yourself, not just mentally, but also just as a person, being a better
Yeah.
person, yeah.
Oh, and it teaches you to think outside the box. You know, especially like for example, training jujitsu. I understand how important changing an angle might be. You know, of something. Maybe the problem's not always so big all the time. Maybe it's something small. So I could be doing something at work, you know, I'm trying to fit something in there that's tight or whatever, you know, then I start to think it's maybe if I just let me just turn this a little bit this way, you know, okay, now I could reach the bolt, you know, like it kind of rewired the way I think about things.
Yeah, and that's why they teach math in school growing up, right? Do we use that? Hell no. You know,
Yeah.
most
Pro- Problem solving.
problem solving, yeah. It's molding your brain into, thinking outside the box and problem solving. Alright, get back to the story. Where were we? So you were talking about the
Yeah,
addiction, getting over that and replacing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started, training, boom, was hooked, and then, I moved to North Alabama, and then ended up moving to Georgia just for work, and then ended up moving up with my family out, out in Georgia, and just stayed pretty consistent with it, had different, coaches, which is good, at different gyms, trying to see the different perspectives and different styles, that they have to offer. Really interesting. Um, consistently, like I said, the culture good, you know. It's everybody's pretty chill. And then
That's why I get along with jujitsu people because they're most of the time they're chill. I think it teaches people to be chill as well, right?
it does. It does because just fighting in general, I believe does because you really got to assume that everybody knows everything that you know.
Mhm.
You know, don't want to be reckless with people out on the street. I think everybody, when I go out there, I think everybody knows everything that I know. Like I'm just in a world of black belts or I'm fighters everywhere. Like
Mhm.
you don't know, you don't know, they walk amongst us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're the people, but they might be highly dangerous. Just because they wear that shirt with the Looney Tune character or something, like, don't get it messed up. Might be a very dangerous person. So it's like the nicer you are, the calmer you are, the more afraid I am
Yeah.
of you. I'm not concerned about the big guy with the tattoos and stuff. That's the peacocking. I'm worried about
Or
the one
like
that
the
doesn't say,
guy walking around in a bow tie.
who's like, look, you just need to calm down and say it calmly. Like that's what I'm worried about. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I was training for a competition and then I got injured. I completely tore my ACL and my meniscus training. So that really sucked. Like I wasn't aware of like I thought I heard it, but I thought it was a couple weeks, like, maybe it's just a little tear or something, and that happens. Um, but I didn't realize how bad it was until like actually like 5 years later, until I actually got like an MRI and
Okay.
was able to see. But I wasn't able to bend it for a long time, like, just couldn't walk on it and stuff. So that kinda put me in this another depression thing, and
Yeah.
then fighting the addiction again, and then there I am, I'm getting in trouble with the law, and, so I was actually sitting in jail one time, and I was just thinking, I'm like, "What?" I mean, what do I like, what can I do, Like
Yeah.
jujitsu be like I my identity, like, people that know me, like, know that's what I do, everybody has, like, that thing that they do, I didn't have anything else. I mean, other than partying and stuff, but
Yeah.
where's and causing problems, just being an idiot. So, I thought, well, maybe boxing, maybe I'll try that, and, so the gym I in that town, they actually started offering some boxing, so then I just started doing that, and just, um, that was a different animal in itself, then next thing I know, I go from sitting in that jail cell, and now I'm just in a ring with someone, like, how did I end up here? Like, what are we doing? Yeah, what are we
'Cause you're
doing?
replacing you're replacing that
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
right?
so, well,
Maybe it takes a
it
lot to replace that, maybe.
yeah, I
Gotta
mean,
be get in the ring.
I needed someone to beat sense the sense into me. So, yeah, so I did that, and, then after a while, my knee got better, I just started doing, like, exercises and things and just from walking on it, and it got better, and, so for a while, I continued to do both jujitsu and boxing, um, and then, yeah, so I came back here to Alabama, like, in 2019. um I was at another academy that I trained at for a little while. There's just one academy we just didn't see eye to eye on some things, so that's when I started training with Professor Cheek, who that's who I'm under now, And, man, it's been a great experience, with him ever since then. Great people, you know, um, he's real big on, like, what I was saying earlier is just being good humans, you know?
Mm,
We're not all perfect. I know I ain't, but, like, that's, like, the goal. Like, that's really the fight, Like, it's almost like the self-defense is, like, against myself, That's who I'm kinda defending myself against, like,
mm,
in a s it's just really more up here, and that's what I like about jujitsu, that it's really here. So long as you got a brain, like what I was talking about going back with people that had, like, really no limbs and different things, it's disabilities and stuff, it's a mental thing, just changing the way that you look at things could do a lot, that people talk about perspective and things like that, but it's just pay more attention to it. Like, really, it kind of is a word that kind of gets thrown around so much, just kind of just becomes like part of the background. But when when you really are able to like zone in on that, and I feel like it just benefits your life altogether, just as a human being. If it wasn't for jujitsu, I would honestly say I would probably be dead, um, or in jail. Certainly like it wouldn't be good, And actually, like, so the friend that I was talking about earlier that I started training with, he was fighting his own problem, his own addiction and stuff too. But unfortunately, he lost that battle. So that that was another eye opener too, and people come in for different reasons. I've seen a lot of people that they're getting off drugs, some people are just depressed. Some it might be a lawyer in there, you might have a felon rolling with a cop,
mhm,
like that whole community, like you never know what you're gonna get. Everybody has their different reasons. Some are just physical health, and but one thing that you can't avoid when you get into it, that you realize that it's much more deeper in ways that probably can't be articulated in words in the way that would really kind of do it justice.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, changing your brain up in the ways we just don't understand, right?
Yeah, the outlook, the outlook, and just from the smallest things. Here's a kind of like a funny example. So, before I moved in with my girlfriend here, I had an apartment, and I was like changing the faucet, but I wasn't sure where like the main shutoff was. So I was like, all right, well, challenge accepted. So I'm underneath the sink, and well, what I thought actually was the shutoff wasn't. They must have rerouted it or whatever. Um, so I'm gonna do it anyway. So I was under there, and I go to change the faucet, right, and then the water was still on. And of course, it was the hot side, so it's scalding hot water, right? Water's just hitting me in the face. I'm under sink, I'm just getting soaked with burning hot water, and, like, I just kept saying, gotta be calm, like, gotta be calm, staying calm. It's gotta just like, I can't I'm not letting go of this now, I gotta do it now, like,
Yeah.
I feel like this is if I back out, the water tapped me. I'm not getting by hot water.
Oh my god, what a good example, bro. What a nice
Yeah,
little
a
things
lot of
like
moments,
that, yeah.
a lot of moments. Yeah, so, just leaving off, just training with Josh and stuff, and then I started to get, like, the idea of, like, maybe coaching and, because he's about, like, an hour so from, where I live, and there's, like, gyms in an hour of every direction, and so my original instructor from Troy, he moved away, so there was no jujitsu happening here, um, and then I'm like, "Well, maybe," and I love jujitsu, and I try to, like I tell everybody, if you hang out with me long enough, you're gonna train. You're gonna. There's something you're gonna probably show up to a class at some point or another. I've dragged so many people into jujitsu that probably like really didn't want to be there, but they gave it a shot. That's all I can do. But it's just one of those things to where it's like, I love it, man. Try it. Um. So I thought about the coaching stuff, but I was in a relationship at the time. It was just a toxic one. I was married, and um, I just didn't feel like it would have been right. It wouldn't have been the right time. I don't think that I would have been in the right space mentally. I already kind of knew like where this relationship was going. I probably just was just waiting for my way out. You know, um, so kind of just had it in the back of my mind. And then about end of 2024, so like a lot happened at once. It was so my mom passed away, and then at the same time of like me going through that, I'm finding out that my ex-wife, who is then my wife, is running around with her ex-husband, you know, and then my past catching up with me with some old criminal charge for some property damage when I was wilding out like an idiot. Um, they ended up like changing the title, like they added something to it, so it's like I had to go back to jail, and so there was a lot of tension. I was really depressed again, the most depressed I've ever been in my life. This was just it was a lot. So I ended up going back to jail. So I was in jail, and I was there for a month, and it's weird because that was like probably the most calmest and most peace that I've had, and I couldn't figure it out, but I just had like a lot of peace and a lot of calm, and now I know where that comes from. That definitely comes from God, you know. So just praying a lot, and then he just, really. Then I'm like looking at things in hindsight. I'm like, wow, he just like really saved me. He just got me out of this whole situation, made me deal with my I can't drink. I'm in jail. I can't. I don't. I have to sit in this. I have to sit in the suck. I have to go through this, and that's jujitsu. Just you got someone with their body on you. You're suffocating. You feel like you're suffocating. You feel like you're dying, literally, and it's like you just gotta push through that. So I got out of that, um, and it was just blessings after blessings. There's just a lot of things that happened that wasn't supposed to happen,
Mm.
And I just think it was really where God was like, now's the time, because I said going back, like it just things didn't add up, it just didn't feel right for me to start like wanting to like open up something in Troy.
I think going to jail, like, I mean, it took away the daily fog,
Yeah,
uh,
you got
that would have
you are,
added
you got
to
to,
all those 3 that would have added to the 3 things that happened,
yeah.
right? Did you feel that way at the time? Did you feel like, God helped you in that way because now you're just able to deal with those 3 things mentally instead of having your daily tasks in the way, and that might have been just too much if you were not in jail.
Yeah, that's what had to happen. That's pretty much what had to happen for me. He had to take all that outside noise out. I mean, I was getting ran over with a car, like it was a toxic relationship, it was wild. There's no
It
amount of
sounds
jujitsu
wild.
that I can't armbar a car, like that's where it's like, okay, this is where it doesn't work. Um but yeah, it was toxic, it was bad, and so I thought, like, going to jail, like, I was just gonna be real, like, sad and depressed, but it wasn't like that. It was really weird. It's a really weird feeling that I had, and I was, like, really calm and just, like, relieved,
Mm,
and I felt now I'm like, "Alright, now I just felt rejuvenated," So, um, but also he showed me who was really there for me too,
okay.
I was just filtered out everybody that wasn't supposed to be there, just boom, and people that I didn't even expect that I didn't even really have, you know, great relationships with, It's like, hey, didn't have nothing against them or anything, but we knew each other, but we didn't talk on the phone every day. It's just these you just put exactly who needed to be there. And then so coming out of that, was like, all right, I need to get my relationship with God right. Because I'm not really thinking so much about jujitsu, like, right now, and that whole thing. I'm like, I gotta see what this is about. Like, I was almost like on an autopilot, just go to church, man. Just go to church. You gotta find out about this before you do anything else.
mhm,
So, and then, like, within, like, 90 days, I had everything back that I lost.
mm,
The bed, job, everything, and I didn't really, anticipate, like, getting into another relationship, but, just the way things worked out, and then, I met my girlfriend, and she showed me, like, what, because I was really messed up and I don't want to get into the whole relationship thing, but it's kind of like I got to tell this to tell the next part. So
mhm,
I was but kind of just like show me what real love was and support.
mhm,
And by having her there, it gave me, like, the feeling of, like, I feel like I could do anything, you know?
mhm.
So now I'm trying to decipher what is it that I wanna do? What is it not even that I wanna do, what is it that God wants me to do?
So it's like
And so,
beyond getting okay, being okay, now what am I gonna do? Yeah.
exact exactly. So, just I would think of different things, am I supposed to, because I owned a lawn care business before, like, am I supposed to start that again? Or am I supposed to get into, like, am I supposed to be a preacher? Like, what is it, And the more and more I got educated with, like, and knowing God and sitting with God, the more and more I learned how to listen to him. And when something is just on my heart about something, I don't really get my ducks in a row first. I just kind of go for it. So it was just really sitting with me. And then I was just talking to my girlfriend one day and I was like, I think I just need to pull the trigger on this. I just can't. Something's leading me to just do this. So uh I went to the Anytime Fitness gym over here. I didn't have no mats or anything. I just walked in there and I talked to the manager there. And coincidentally, she had a son that trained jujitsu. And then she's like, "Oh, we got mats here." And it was actually one of Professor Bateman's old students. Shout out to Michael Bateman there from NXG. Good dude. So it gets even funnier. So now I'm like, all right, now we got the mats and at least one student, and that's kind of where I started. And a funnier thing, just like an added bonus to this. So, when I had a bunch of, like, punching bags and stuff, equipment, when I was with my ex-wife or whatever, but there was a building, I guess, that got repoed or something. Um, so, I just counted that stuff off that it was long gone. And I remember her showing me to this back room and she like opened the door and she showed me like, oh yeah, we got, these bags and stuff here, because I was gonna do the boxing there also. And I'm like looking at this stuff. I'm like, this stuff looks really familiar. And I kind of just like brushed it off a little, and then like 2 months later, I was just thinking, it just came in conversation. I was just curious. I was like, hey, where'd you get that from? And then I guess the building that we had went to like I guess whoever came to clean it out, they gave it to him and he sold it to them. And then so she ends up giving it back to me. Like so it comes back full circle again. So I'm like, man,
That's
God
so
is good. I'm
crazy. I know, man. That's
probably well.
crazy.
So yeah. And it was
Maybe a way God
yeah,
speaks to us, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when things like that started to
Yeah.
happen, I just
Yeah.
keep
On
walking
the
that
right
way.
path.
So then so we probably about 6 months or so, and then we're there at any time, a small group of people, maybe probably about average about 4, maybe 7 people was a big class.
Mm.
Um, then about February, I think the owner of the Anytime passed away. So then just, and it no fault to Sheila, she calls me and is like, hey, gym's shutting down, 2 weeks. So then I was like, well, I mean, that sucks. Like, what we're kind of like catching some momentum. What do we do from here? So I didn't worry too much, because at this point, like I'm confident in what I got to do
Yeah, yeah.
and
You feel like
that
you're
God
doing
is,
what God wants you to do. So you feel that
yeah,
support.
exactly, exactly. And when the time's right, it'll be there. And then when, I had like, I was just kind of one of my moments of just let me see. So I actually contacted name's Natalie. She runs the Alien Fitness, the CrossFit Fitness and Barbell over here in Troy, and I just what she thought about having a program there, and she was all about it. Okay, I went and met with her, and it's something that she was interested in trying to do herself. She did she did some kickboxing and stuff before, and I mean she was all with it, and I'm truly thankful for her too. So then I'm like, all right, cool. Now we're back on board. Um, First day, I was like, I knew I had my 3 or 4, ones that were with me at any time. But I don't know, it's weird because people just kept coming in,
Mm.
and like 9 or 10 people showed up that first day.
Okay.
So I'm like, "All right, we'll see how it does tomorrow." And then
So
the
things
next day,
keep
I think
adding up.
like
Yeah.
13 or 14 people, and then now I was running into a problem, which is a good problem. Now it's like mat space, you know, because
Yeah.
one of my students, he actually got some of Professor Bateman's old mats. And, I think it was like we had like a was it like a 12, maybe it came out there's some puzzle mats that came out like a 12 by 18 or something space, and, everybody's just crammed in on there, and so I'm like, "Alright, it's time. I gotta get some bigger mats," and then just slowly just growing, and then even, like, the boxing class, I mean, then and I like, we've been there for about maybe 3 months, and I've had 22 people in that class. I had 17, 18 people, you know in the Jiu-Jitsu class, and it's just been great, and I learned too that my students teach me more than I teach them.
Mm.
I might be able to offer them some technique, but as like a person and accountability, even days like I don't feel like showing up, and there's times where I showed up, especially in early days and nobody else showed up. And that's okay, and I'll be this is where I'll be, you know? If nobody shows up, they don't show up, but this is where I'll be because I don't know, I may never know who or what, you know, because some people keep things pretty, you know, to themselves if they're battling with, like, depression or addiction or something like that,
Mhm.
but if I'm able to help just one, then that's that's okay, you
That's
know,
enough for
that's
you.
okay with
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's the bigger picture. Um,
why is it so different there? Why do people love going there?
I think the community. I think the community is because it's a place you could just be yourself. There's not like formalities of, you know, like traditional, I guess you say like martial arts. I think the issue is a lot of that stuff can make people feel uncomfortable, you know? With us,
With the
it's just
structure.
like, yeah, we're just hanging out, we're just rolling, you know? We're just hanging out, we're rolling, you know? Just be yourself. Don't hide who you are. I don't care if you were in jail last week. I don't care, you know, what anything about that, you know? I've had, you know, I I've had people that try to sabotage, you know, once they learned about this, of course, you know, then they want to put the collage of mugshots and, you know, and actually so they wrote a newspaper article about me. Um, someone made a comment from what I understand is that I was training women, training men how to beat up women is what it was. So I couldn't help to laugh. I'm like, that that's
Interesting, huh?
maybe this sport is really misunderstood. But I'm like, maybe for I had a few questions with it, which was why do I have to train a man to beat up a woman? You know, naturally they're a little stronger or whatever, but or maybe I was just training the woman how to beat up the man. So like that was that just like situation like that happening, which in return, I wasn't really phased by it because I'm like, I already know this is what needs to happen. Like I didn't lose, no, I gained more off of it than, you know, it's like nobody looked at it any different. And I'm like, I don't want to hide that from anybody either. I'm not hiding anything. I don't want anybody else to. I want everybody to be themselves because that to me is what jujitsu is. Be yourself. Don't hide it. Don't. None of that matters. I want to see you. If you're not happy with who you are, I want to. I want to watch that growth. You know,
Mhm.
because I know what it done for me. I know how much of a mess that I was, and I want to. I like seeing that. You know, so that's why like the enjoyment of coaching. You know,
Mhm.
uh, a benefit that I didn't really account for. Was not really thinking about like, wow, you know, these my students are teaching me more, you know, but they're teaching like it's like almost like an exchange, you know. I teach you an arm bar, you teach me accountability, you know. So
Do you have
and
a lot of
that's
women
the
that go there?
no, there's not a lot. I had one that was there for a while. She should be back. Jiu-jitsu for women, it's just like more it's more gonna be like a slower thing because you gotta get the one that comes in there and then other
Kinda
women kind of
snowballs.
slow
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They others see it
which
applies.
which is understandable, you know. You're close quarters, you know, and there's some people that might have had some very, you know, bad things that happen to them, and that might trigger, you know, not the right responses for them, you know,
And it
and
would
I
be
don't
the
want to do
same
that.
thing for men if it was all women.
Exactly, exactly. So eventually, you know, it'll get there. Um, Boxing more definitely a lot more women that came to that, you know, because that's just something they're more like familiar with too. And but then again, you know, it's the body and body contact.
Mhm.
It's
Right, right. What would you like to say, to people who do not, practice jujitsu or for parents who, are not taking their kids yet or thinking about it? What would you like to say about jujitsu to them?
what I honestly believe is that jujitsu should be mandatory. Like, I just think in school, I think there should be uh, someone in the household that at least has some sort of, you know, good understanding of it. Um, as far as like a parent, that knows jujitsu, for one, protecting their family, but you also will become a good role model for your children.
Mhm.
As far as the kids, um, you know, you nowadays like the bullying's bad. It's like people purposely provoke people just because they want to get that viral clip.
Okay.
Hey, I think if you got a school full of people that train, people might watch out a little bit. Might decide that maybe we shouldn't do that. Um,
Yeah.
but just don't look at it. You know, don't even just look at it for what it does physically either. If it's a mental thing, if it's a mental thing, if you are depressed and you're taking these pills, you don't want to take pills, or they're not working, or they're giving you some side effect, or you just don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
Do that, you know. Um,
You can replace it.
yeah, yeah, and I truly believe that. I really, because I just know. Look, when I say I was a mess, I was a mess. I'm still a little bit of a mess, but I'm getting better.
Aren't we all, man? Thank you, man, so much for your story. It's amazing, dude. I'm so glad we hit, this part of it as far as, overcoming something and replacing, something. Um, Thank you so much for, what you're teaching people, um, coming from that point of view. Um, and of course, you said you said, did you say you have a big, law enforcement, population? Is that what you said?
Well, I have a lot of friends that are in law enforcement. Um, a few came to train with me. I've been talking with the sheriff's department. Um, Yes, they got, like, funding things and stuff, but I will be putting there's some things that I got, you know, like, I'm just getting started, um, but yeah, definitely for law enforcement, there's gonna be some things that I'm gonna be coming up with to specialize for them, and also wanna do some clinics for, women with self-defense, stuff like that, and I mean, there's some things, and, another good thing too. I don't know. I watched the podcast with Professor Bateman from NXG that you did. I don't know if he talked about his mission on the mats deal. Did he talk? I
Um,
watched it, but I think I heard him say anything about that or not.
about his mission. What mission? Tell me.
So mission on the mats.
Oh,
Him
is that
and
what it's called?
yeah,
Okay, no, no, no,
yeah,
we didn't hit that.
yeah. That's kinda like how I started to kinda have a conversation with him, so even I promise I'll wrap this up. When you said I'll talk about it
No, go
all
right
day, so
ahead. Right, get for sure, man.
but yeah, I just wanted to mention this because even going through, like, with the whole God and the purpose thing, so he started, Mission on the Max, him and one of his students, Jeremy, that I believe that he even spoke about, and, they actually sent something to one of my teammates, Sam Davis, who's the coach over there in Ozark, and Sam actually sent it to me. So, like I sent it, like I was interested in that, and basically, it's a Bible study that they do. Just some jujitsu guys get together once a month. Hang out, drink some coffee. Everybody rolls. They do a Bible study, and like that's just something I didn't even expect to
Wow.
you know.
That's cool, man.
So
Yeah. I keep hearing more and more like innovative stuff. People are applying to, the jujitsu academies, and that's one of them. That's cool.
oh yeah, definitely. Like my professor, Cheek, he helps a lot with the military. He works close with them and their different programs. And then we also have Brad Cook. He's out in Andalusia, so he has a academy, out there, and he's with the sheriff's department, and so it's a nice community. We're not really like in competition with each other. There's we just it's good. It's good. I'm glad to be part of it.
What about is there something you would like to say to your community there at the academy?
Um, my community,
That goes there, yeah.
just don't give up. You know, like just I tell people all the time, all you got to do is show up. I'll just
Mm.
show up. And I've heard somebody say, um, one time, like, you're gonna be somewhere in 10 years, like, well, why not be a black belt? You know,
Yeah.
it's not,
You always
you
hear,
know,
don't just show up. I mean, you always hear just show up in jujitsu, and that really applies to life. I mean,
Mm,
think about just keep showing up for your marriage. Just keep showing up for any relationship as a dad,
mm,
and your work as well, right? I mean,
yeah,
consistency does an amazing thing. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Just being there, you know? I mean, people do it for work, you
Mhm.
know, but it's just like they get the money out of it, so then they value that. But what they really need to start valuing is themselves, and if you got really bad mental health problems that you just, you tried everything in a book, and like just
Yeah.
making that 5, just to relieve stress, and especially for men. Men deal with a lot of mental health things, and we're not really taught to talk about it. Um, and naturally, we feel this need to be a little barbaric, in a sense. We want to, that just rough housing and type of stuff. I think it just gives us our a sense of like our actual nature and what we're really designed to do. And satisfies and puts us in a better spot mentally. And then it spider webs from that. You have more patience. I know patience was a big thing
Mhm.
that I really learned from jujitsu, because I would be lying if I didn't get extremely ticked off at who I rolled with. But afterwards, you just gotta look at them
Thank
and
you.
go to the back, and you talk about it. You
Come back
talk
and thank
about it
them.
with yourself on the ride home. Everybody that does jujitsu, they know about the ride home. Yeah, what I'm talking. So,
Well, thanks, bro, for being on, man. I had a good time.
yeah, me too, man. Thank you for having me.
For sure, for sure. I'm stuck in the house for good, man. It's pouring down. Oh my goodness gracious. Um, I'm gonna talk to you soon, dude, and maybe you can be on again. And
Oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah, bro.
absolutely.
All right, man. I hope you have an awesome day. It was fun, and I'll talk to you soon, dude. Thank you
Are
so
you
much
too?
for your story, bro.
Yep, you're welcome.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bye, Nick.